Hi everyone. Reasons for business failure. Under reasons for business failure, we first of all we talk about the cash flow problems. You can see my previous session. Talk about this case study, the Pepper Tap, this Indian food delivery services. 3 years business fail. The main three reasons behind this situation is basically the business doesn't have a reliable supply base. Sometimes they haven't updated the customer order something online, the stock's not available, the stock's not updated in the system. That's one reason. Secondly, they have give some 20% discount for the promote the sales, but 20% is big amount, which is unbearable for the company, small business. And also the third reason is the the cost of labor. They have used their own delivery network, so a lot of overhead costs they had to face. That's the main reason. So behind this failure of this business, we talk about this case study. And after that, the business failure, we talk about the mainly financial reasons why business can fail. And that we talk about the cash flow problems. Especially cash flow problems are over trading. Over trading means like your investment in like too much of like a over expansion, expand fast. That's called over trading. And we talk about the investment in too much in fixed assets. That's another reason. If you have too much of fixed assets in a business organization, that's also a reason for a business failure, because there are so many options out there. Without purchasing by giving 100% cash, you might be able to invest in the fixed assets by going for a leasing options or higher purchase options, or you can go for like a installment basis payment plans are there. So without going to that, if you invest in fixed assets, that's the main reason for a business failure. And talk about the allowing too much on credit for customers. Credit sales are very common in business organizations. Allowing too much on credit and the lack of credit control is another reason. And moreover, the over borrowing. Sometimes business may borrow a lot of from the banks and financial institutions, and as a huge burden will be there for the organizations in order to be very high, huge financial burden in high interest payments they have to face because of the overborrowing conditions. And mainly seasonal factors. Some businesses are facing seasonal factors, seasons and off seasons. During season, their demand will be very high, but during off season, demand is very low, especially hotel industry, tourism industry, and textile industries. You can see there are seasonal demands are there. Therefore, because of seasonal factors also, if you're not considering seasonal factors on particular fields such as agriculture, service sector, industrial sector, sometimes you will fail. And also unexpected expenditure. Sometimes there can be machine breakdowns can become, fire can become unexpected expenditure. You have to by going for insurance policies, but unexpected expenditure also always cause into failure. If you haven't managed that properly, unexpected expenditure always cause business failures. And the external factors also, such as pandemic situations, globalization, economic recessions, sometimes world war. Some of these factors also external factors anyway. Definitely business have no control over these kind of impacts. Therefore, business has to adopt some kind of a strategies such as hibernation strategies. Without operating, they can temporarily shut down the business organization until everything goes again back to normal. So that is the external factor situation. So we are talking about what are the main reasons and how to overcome those problems, right? Not only identification of the problem, we are going to give some solution also how to avoid this business failure, right? And also poor financial management is the thing. If you have employees like inexperienced managers and poor financial controllers, then we can actually, there's another reason, because heart of the organization is the department of finance. So if they are not properly functioning, the organization will eventually fail. And after we talk about this case study, Valtrex construction, this construction organizations also, they have the recorded like over expansion level they were there, and then like their turnovers increased from 30 million to 45 million. You can see about like 50% growth rate. And later on, the business eventually, because of the over trading conditions, eventually business failed. These are the situations we talk about. So today in my I wanted mainly to talk about the not competitive. Another second reason why business not like business are failing is there are various reasons. And that 8 reasons we discussed in my previous session, financial reasons. And today I'm going to mainly talk about why business fail because of not being competitive. So competitive means like you have to be very update environment. So in my short notes, you can see I have given some list of items why business become, why not competitive, reasons why business lose out of their rivals, why they are not competitive. And also in my short note, I have given the all previous, the reasons why business run short of cash is 8 reasons I have given: over trading, too much of fixed asset investment, too much of credit, over borrowing, seasonal factors, unexpected expenditure, external factors, poor financial management, these things. So today in my lesson, I'm going to talk about these factors, why businesses are lose out of their rivals. And that we're talking about the certain another 8 more factors regarding this new entrants, ineffective cost control, ineffective marketing, lack of business skills, poor leadership, a sharp fall in sales, a recession situation, and failure to innovate. These 7 reasons we are going to discuss today. Under this lesson, you can see why businesses are failing due to not become competitive. First of all, you can talk about the new entrants. Sometimes business fail eventually because of the new entrants. Why? Sometimes new entrants are superior than you, superior products they are preferring. Or sometimes new entrants has low price products. And the new entrants outcompeted you. Sometimes using destroy pricing. So these things, first of all, we'll discuss why business fail because of the competition. So basically new entrants, a business may begin successfully and then fail because the new rival enters the market and takes away their trade. Many small businesses collapse because they are overrun by larger competitors in the market. Right? So that's the main thing. Competition is good and is dangerous. So competitors might, first of all, bring out superior product. I told you superior product and your product become inferior. Example, the mobile phone maker Nokia failed because Apple and Android came along with the better products. That's one of the better example. Introducing a superior product. Secondly, read market conditions more effectively. The competitor read the market conditions more effectively than you. Example, some business fail because they bring out products that are unpopular in the market. Sometimes they haven't read the market conditions and they are bringing unpopular products into the market and eventually they fail. Right? For example, in economic recession time, what happens if you actually invest in the condominium apartments, like like holiday bungalows and everything? No one wants to buy in a recession. Nobody wants to buy a luxury apartments during recession time. Therefore, you should read the market conditions at the right time. So therefore, if you are going to invest or something, and you are going to introduce something, you should introduce some product on a particular economic condition. Therefore, in a recession, people will think reducing the cost. As a result of that, they will eventually go for a cheaper items. Therefore, they will not involving in the luxury items and luxury heavy expensive items. They will go for a medium, like an average products. Therefore, you should think about the current market. As if you are the businessman, smart businessman, always think about the market conditions. You should read the market conditions, then only that's right. So competitor, if you read the market conditions more effectively, then I think you can survive. Without that, if you introduce a wrong product at a wrong time, you can fail. And also, you can see the charge lower prices because their costs are lower. Right? Business can charge lower prices because the costs are lower. For example, in recent years, many manufacturers in the West have been outcompeted by low-cost producers from China and other emerging nations where labor costs are lower. This is called outcompeted. That is, perform more effectively in a particular field. Right? The countries like, I can see Factory of Asia, China, and also in other countries, Vietnam, they call Darling of Asia. Right? Like that. So these countries, China, Vietnam, Philippines, Thailand, and Indonesia, these countries have a very good cost advantages for companies for manufacturing. Therefore, because of these things, the out competition. So European companies, American companies, they fail because of the threat coming from these low-cost countries. Therefore, sometimes they decide to sometimes relocate their production manufacturing plants to these countries to get the cost advantage. Therefore, they can be very competitive in the market, right? For example, recently the Lego company, they relocate to the China, and they had to relocate from Denmark. And they about 2,000 jobs they lost because of that situation, because the high cost country, Denmark, and then they relocate their manufacturing location to China. And you can see Apple also like that. They have a manufacturing location in China, and now China to Vietnam. They assemble their products in US companies in those countries because of this, because it faced the competition. And finally, the use of destroyer pricing. Destroyer pricing you will learn in my pricing lesson under that marketing management pricing mix. Destroyer pricing means sometimes very giving high discounts, very low pricing, sometimes less than your cost. Destroy pricing. It's kind of like a pricing used in sometimes in situations where you wanted to outcompete your rivals on the market. You're charging very low price in the beginning of the period, then not all the customers will try to come to your place and purchase from you because of the destroyer pricing. Your prices are very cheap. But this is illegal method because this is a democratic country. You can't do like that, because the main reason of charging a destroyer pricing is actually get rid from the competition. So basically, if they are powerful company to drive smaller rivals out of the market, they're using this strategy. This might happen where the company dumps a cheap products in a foreign market. Right. So once this situation happened in France, where the Amazon company, they sell their books without charging shipping cost. So books are extremely low compared to the local prices. Then a lot of customers, they used to purchase from Amazon because the prices are very cheap. The same books are available in the local market in France at higher prices, because the local booksellers, they have to charge the shipping cost also, all the import duties, custom duties to the book. But Amazon, they did without that, because they are importing like so much of item, the bulk they can have. So they have discounts and everything, so they can reduce the prices. They haven't charged any shipping costs. Then after that, what happened? All the other booksellers, they filed a case against the Amazon, and the court decides that Amazon doing a destroy pricing strategy, and then they ordered to charge the shipping cost back to their price. Not only that, they have to pay some penalty, about 1 billion euro to the government as a result of this. So like that, this is illegal methods, because you can't charge a very low price than your competitors, because some that is purposely are doing in order to reduce their demand, and you can be take the market share from the rivals. This is a very unethical method, but it's happening in the business world. Destroy pricing strategy. Therefore, new entrants always causing you some troubles, right? Sometimes by giving the superior products, sometimes they are reading your market conditions very well, and they are giving a very good product than you, and charge lower prices than you, and also destroy pricing. The other one is ineffective cost control. And ineffective cost control is another internal method, like business will fail because of the cost control is very poor. That is not using economies of scale and external factors and waste of resources. This is the ineffective cost controlling method. You are not getting use of the economies of scale, no bulk purchase discount, nothing, and external factors are affecting, and also waste of resources. We'll see what is in the ineffective cost control in detail. Yes, business will eventually fail because of ineffective cost control. In some cases, business cannot keep their costs down. If costs are too high, then the business needs to charge more to make a profit. This might result in a loss of trade to low-cost competitors. A firm cost might be higher than the rivals for a number of reasons. That's why ineffective cost control means like cost control is a very important role in the business organization. If he or she, right, cost controller cannot manage the cost in organization, then it should be very difficult. For example, country also you can see that now because of the they have a lack of inflation and everything. You can see the economic recession is there in the economy. So we can see an ineffective cost control. Right, sometimes some situations are there, the government don't have any control over the price. Price is always decided by the demand and supply. It's a free market. Therefore, always because of the hyperinflation situation, always the people will suffer as a result of this poor cost control. So you can see they may be too small to exploit economies of scale. Larger rivals that produce much more output enjoy lower unit cost. Perhaps because they can buy enormous quantities of materials at low prices. This is one reason in ineffective cost control coming, because they may be too small to exploit economies of scale. So the small business anyway, they have to get rid of the market, because produce more output, enjoy lower unit cost. Small business, they can't have the economies of scale because you're buying small quantities. Therefore, because of having lack of discounts and lack of incentives and lack of these cost advantages, people, I think we talk about this concept in the like a sandwich factory, small sandwich manufacturer and the large sandwich manufacturer. You can see the cost differences for both of them. The small sandwich manufacturer has to purchase his bread from the supermarket at the current retail prices. But the large sandwich manufacturer, he purchased like a daily for 3,000, 4,000 breads directly from the bakery. Therefore, cost is very low, right, compared to the retail price. But vegetables also same, even the cheese also same. The large manufacturer, directly they can purchase from the manufacturer at low prices. But the small retailer, because since it's small unit, so she actually always has to purchase the items from the market at current market prices. Yeah, so that's the first one. The economies of scale you can't have, the first point. And moreover, the cost control problems are having, such as waste, the items, goods and services, resources might be wasteful. For example, the business that does not have an effective budgeting system may lose control of its cost as certain departments overspend. Some senior members of the staff may spend unnecessarily when traveling on business, such as directors claiming about $5,000 for a flight in a business class when an economy fare is only $300. Like that, this is the unnecessary traveling. Yes, in those days, I think time for this COVID, I think this lot of traveling and all the requirements has gone down because of that. Otherwise, you can see the transport expenses are very high. So now, because of all the meetings are normally nowadays they are doing on Zoom and Google Meets and everything. So different online platforms are there. So that's a result of that. A lot of business organization would be able to reduce their transport costs. Otherwise, when you are traveling to another country to meet a supplier or a customer, you can see this is the situation. Always they have to travel for business class, and you can see the expensiveness. As a result, business will eventually fail. Right, so transport cost is a huge waste of resources. So wastage will be is a huge problem. That's why if you can reduce this wastage of resources, transport is just only one. Even the inventory is another wastage. Inventory, because unused items are there. Like that, if you can reduce this wastage, business can survive. If you cannot reduce this wastage, waste of resources, business will eventually fail. Step by step. And third point, it is possible that business is paying too much for some of the resources. It may not be spending enough time researching supplies in the market, right? For example, a dairy farmer might be buying large quantities of cattle feed from a local supplier when the same feed could be bought at a cheaper rate from an overseas producer. There's another thing. You don't have any idea about the not spending enough time for researching the supplies in the market. So that's another thing, because you're always in the modern business, knowledge is the edge. So knowledge is important comparative advantage. So, without researching, you are just currently purchasing from the first option. That's why you must have a proper procedure of procurement, like tenders. You should go for the lowest producer, lowest quote. So these bidding systems is not there in the organization. These tender systems are not transparent and everything. Sometimes you might spend a lot of money than you supposed to pay. So sometimes the same, in this cattle example, you can see sometimes the same, this raw materials can be overseas, you can import at very low prices, but you don't know that this option is available. A lot of people, they're thinking, this is the only option, like buying from local. No, you should do some kind of research. Every decision, you should research something, right? Before you give the order to someone, you should ask it from at least 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Before you give some kind of construction or whatever the service you obtain, you should actually get some information. You should use some primary research, market research, at least for 2, 3, 4, 5 people, right? Then only you should get some idea what is the current market rate. Is I'm paying high price, as I'm paying low price like that, you must be able to get to know this information. So without doing a research, if you are taking decisions, that's another way of losing the business. So this is very important lesson that I'm telling you. Like if you are a person who watching this video, if you have a business, I think you can use this knowledge in order not to fail your business, because these are the reasons for business failure. This is important, very important lesson. If you learn this video now, if you learn this knowledge right now, definitely in future, if you're starting a business, you can avoid all the uh, situations, that you can avoid all the failure situations in future. That's why we talk about the beginning of this lesson. About 80% of the business startups fail after 5 years. Only 20% only they will hang out, like they will like survive after 5 years. So 80%, it's a big amount. 80%. If you start 100 businesses in this year, after 5 years, only 20 business only survive. So why 80 business failing? These are the reasons. These are the reasons. So smart businessmen always try to survive after 5 years. So always think how to avoid these things. And next one is some countries, some circumstances, businesses might not be minimizing labor cost. Example, it might not be possible to relocate production to a country where wages are lower, such as Bangladesh or Vietnam. Yeah, that's another thing. Some people, they're reluctant to go to other countries. They're reluctant to actually spending money to relocate. That is the kind of a main reason for some people will fail eventually, because they don't have that financial strength or knowledge to relocate to another country. They're thinking it's a very huge process. But a lot of companies, they have arms in different countries. Bangladesh is a very good, another cheap country. Vietnam is another very good country, cheap country. Cheap nations are there like that. If you want to find some raw materials, you can see Indonesia, right? Sometimes, Bangkok, sometimes, Kenya, Bangladesh, sometimes cheap labor is there, sometimes even Ethiopia. Some people are moving, so especially garment sites, garment factories. So these are the things you should see. Take the situation, chances, take your chances. If you feel these countries are too expensive, you can relocate. In business world, there is nothing called patriotism, because business is a global business. When you start a business, you should be a global businessman, not a local businessman. When you're doing international business, every country should think like a same country. If you be more patriotic, if you're thinking I'm not leaving my country, I'm serving my country, that is kind of a stupidity, because the businessmen always think about the financial side, right? There are patriotic businessmen, but basically if you start a business in somewhere, because you can repatriate the profit back to your parent country, like multinational. That's why multinational concept also develop. Multinational companies, they base their head office in one country and they have their manufacturing and assembling plants in other different countries, low-cost countries. So use that strategy, relocation decisions. Talk about that under business location lesson. So relocation is really important. Find the location which is proximity to labor, proximity to market, right? So proximity to raw materials, everything. So this is a very important thing. You can be more competitive and have a competitive advantage by doing this relocation, especially at least manufacturing plants. The famous brands like Prada, Versace, and Louis Vuitton, and they have all that manufacturing plants are somewhere in Vietnam or China. They manufacture and assemble there, and then those materials they are selling in European countries at very high prices. Their cost of production is very low, therefore they are enjoying high profit margin, right? Don't ever think it is based on Italy or France, they're manufacturing there. That happened a long time ago, but now they're assembly manufacturing in low-cost countries because they know the unique selling point, advantage, the competitive advantage, right? So you can see most of the garment items we are selling from Sri Lanka, sometimes they say made in Sri Lanka, tag is there, but selling abroad. Sometimes the high branded value, export quality, sometimes made in Sri Lanka tag goes are not there, right? So international prices, expensive, because the low-cost country, they always is very cheaper. Produce something from low-cost country. You can produce even in USA also, but the USA, if you compare the USA price and the Sri Lankan price, right? USA, you have to pay 50 times higher, more salary, right, than Sri Lankan workers per hour, right? For example, US dollar, $15, you have to pay minimum wage per hour, $15 per hour. But in Sri Lanka, it is like only half a dollar. half a dollar, not 15. Right? Some garment factory workers, they are getting only $0.5 per hour. So you can see how much the comparison, you can calculate what's the cost difference between the production cost is very low, about 50 times lower than USA. Right? That's why smart businessmen are always moving to these low cost countries, and they get their production quality output they can produce and they can take it back. And finally, another method why people not become competitive is the cost might also rise because of the external factors. For example, if the exchange rate falls, we call it depreciation. Cost of imported raw materials and components rise. This could disadvantage to business that rely heavily on imports. That is another matter. Like a lot of countries, they have to do imports and exports because of the exchange rate movements, because that is totally out of the control of the business organization. Exchange rate, the price of one currency in terms of another will change. Right? For example, now one US dollar is equal in Sri Lanka, it's about 200 rupees, 200, 203, 205 rupees. If exchange rate depreciate, if become 200 to 250, imagine, right? But 25% depreciate on the dollar. So what will happen? The cost of imports will be also rise. So production costs also increase. This kind of situations are there. So as a result, business will eventually fail. You can see a lot of countries right now, they have so much of international financial crisis because of this lack of foreign exchange, lack of foreign reserve. Therefore, import-export sanctions, import bans, restrictions are, we can see, right, for countries. There are import ban on vehicles, right? There are import bans on luxury items, so many things. Why? The country's reserves are not enough to do the imports and exports. So basically, these are the main reasons why business not become competitive. The other one is the ineffective marketing. So under ineffective marketing, we can learn this one, third point, inappropriate pricing, inappropriate promotion, and inappropriate marketing strategy. Ineffective market. So in the first point, we talk about the entrants. Second point, we talk about the ineffective cost control. Now, third point, we are going to talk about the ineffective. Yeah, under ineffective marketing strategy, we are talking about the inappropriate pricing, promotion, marketing strategy, these things. So ineffective marketing means sometimes marketing is a really important function, right? Marketing is a process of identification, anticipation, and satisfying of consumer needs and wants profitably, right? When you're doing marketing, these things can be happen from your marketing department. These weak points can be seen. If marketing is weak, business will eventually fail. So what are the weak points? A business might launch a new product, right, which fails to take off. For example, like a Colgate toothpaste, you can see once launched a line of convenience food, the product was complete failure. However, Colgate does contribute to make toothpaste. Like that, marketing, like business might launch a new product, fails to take off. Like sometimes some products are their successful product, some products are failed. Right? If you are an artist, some you're producing music, some music tracks are become very famous and we go on viral. Some music tracks actually not viral. Some videos are no views, right? Very less reach. So that's happened always. That's usually the nature of the products, nature of the business, especially this kind of, for the example, Colgate, all the same toothpaste producer once launched a line of convenience food, right? Sometimes product can be complete failure, utter failure. And however, they still continue to make toothpaste. Right? If you are a singer, sometimes one of the song will be like one of the album can be utter failure, right? So, but one day to be successful. So ineffective market, sometimes every product you can't actually be successful. There are some situations products are successful and unsuccessful. So always keep in mind, sometimes marketing management sometimes is very, very important. You have a huge responsibility to avoid these failures, because if you have right marketing strategy, if you can adapt, you can actually avoid these business failures. Secondly, a business might use inappropriate pricing strategies, right? Which could mean that prices are too high or too low. If prices are too high, customers will switch to rival. And if they are too low, customers might think that the quality of the product was poor. right? Inappropriate pricing strategy. That is really important. Like sometimes customers are like to buy a sometimes very high price. So skimming pricing sometimes preferable for a high-tech product, right? What happens if you think like, for an iPhone, the new iPhone releasing like, here, if they're selling around 50,000, would you think is an appropriate price? No. Why? Because iPhone, people's always now thinking the prices are very expensive. So if you're selling 50,000, which is like about $200, it's not worth. So you should sell it at least $1,000, which means at least 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs. People will eventually buy, definitely. And you can see new prices are going about half a million. That is about $2,000, right? So you can see the price is always very, very important, influential thing for the business organization. Otherwise, if you don't select the correct pricing strategy, eventually business will fail. So pricing strategy, think very carefully about the pricing. That could mean that the price is too high or too low. If prices is too high, customers will switch to a rival because if there's competition, they always switch to rivals. The prices are too low. So sometimes people thinking the low quality product. So that also very, the impression of the product will be go down. Because of that, the product has to be have a right price. Third one, a business might invest too heavily in overprice or inappropriate marketing campaigns. Some business invest huge amount of money in advertising and promotion and does not always pay off. It's another ineffective marketing thing. Having a huge, like a mega advertising campaigns. Mega advertising campaign, but output is very low, right? Output is very, very low. And a business might use an inappropriate marketing strategy. An example might be using expensive television advertising when social media would have been more cost effective. Yeah, another thing, inappropriate marketing strategy, like for example, without using television, right? People using still expensive television without using social media. Without using social media. So as a result of that, business organization has to be very, very important. Like, you have to use the correct marketing strategy. So if you use television and all these things like without using social media, so as a result of that, ineffective marketing strategy will be have kind of a impact because a lot of people right now not watching television, right? Even myself, I'm watching television only for the news or sometimes special, some important information or breaking news. So sometimes, very important, watch some cricket match or something. Sometimes I might watch the television. But most of the time, we are getting our news and updates, everything from the social media. So therefore, I think social media is the new generation. A lot of people are using right now, spending more time on social media. Therefore, marketing must be most important. You have to focus your marketing strategies right now, the most popular methods and most effective method. That's very important thing. Otherwise, ineffective marketing always cause some benefit because if you advertise places where people are not actually not interested, then it's a vain in vain. The resources also in vain because customer reactions, everything will be very, very low. Right. So this is about the lack of marketing. So talk about today, like main 3 points so far we discussed. Another 4 more topics to discuss. Talk about new entrants. Talk about ineffective cost control. We talk about the ineffective marketing, right? And also we talk about the this is the 4th point. Now we're trying to talk about the lack of business skills. Lack of business skills. Yeah. So after having ineffective marketing, ineffective cost control, and the entrants. The next one is a lack of business skills. Sometimes your business organization, the entrepreneur, manager, CEO does not have the required skills. That will be the mainly the main reason for the business failure is that the skills must have the right skills. What is that? Some business lack of competitiveness and fail because their owners are not sufficiently skilled. Running a business is challenging and required many skills. Entrepreneurs have to be creative, good with numbers, right? Good with numbers, right? Some people like, very rich people, they are really good in numbers. They are really good in mathematics, motivational, and should be very good decision makers. They also need skills in communication, IT, marketing, negotiating, financial management, and probably many more areas. It is perhaps not surprising that willing entrepreneurs sometimes lack the skills required to successful. So I think this is a very, very important topic. You can see this, what are the skills right now. If you are a businessman who are watching this video, if you have these skills, you should be proud about yourself. And if you feel that you don't have these skills, particular skills, imagine if you don't have particular IT skills, particular communication skills, particular PR, personal relationships and everything to build up all that thing, right? These things, I think you are not too late. You can still, you can invest in yourself. You can go to some professional courses like that. There are certain opportunities available, right? And you can invest in yourself. Imagine you don't have anything about the ICT, basic IT skills. You don't know how to send an email, right? How to organize. Sometimes some businesses are there, they're hiring some people who are capable enough, like managers they hire, some communication managers, right? So they sometimes you have to pay them, right? So that is also a possible option. But the basic thing is if you're a young entrepreneur, so why don't you invest in yourself? At this point, my students, this is the right time to invest in these skills: communication skill, IT skills, right? Marketing skills, negotiation skills, financial management skills. I think as a student, until you become an entrepreneur, you should actually focus on these things. If you are a person who actually in future, if you want to be a business entrepreneur, if you want to pursue your studies on business management, here we go. These are the skills you should focus on, right? Not only the getting the Bachelor of Management, right? Financial specialist, marketing specialist, HR specialist, like that. You should do some special degree. And along with that, you should actually develop these professional skills, definitely, right? Then only you become like a full package. Then only you have more. I think you can do anything in the business world if you have these qualities. Okay, so lack of business skills. If you don't have this business skill, there is a high chance of failing. That's the thing. If you don't have negotiation skills, imagine, anyone can come and they will bargain you, and they will you have to agree with anything because you don't have negotiation skills, communication skills, financial management skills, mathematical skills. I know practically it's not, sometimes everything is not possible to achieve, but that's why you can have some managers, right? If you want to have a good financial manager, you can recruit a good manager who's good in financial mathematics, everything. Yeah, it's possible. But I mean, if you're a small businessman, right, I think you must have some kind of all-round, right, knowledge. Like in, for example, cricket, we need some all-rounders who specialize in batting, bowling, and fielding. So nowadays, business world, we need all-rounder, not only specialist people, all-rounders. Any way, anytime, any option, any place you can work with your knowledge. And the other one is the fifth one: poor leadership. Poor leadership. Sometimes leadership, actually, some leaders are born leaders. Some leaders are actually created by the society. Leadership, actually, we can define the person who can influence the behavior of their subordinates as a leader, right? Some entrepreneurs are not leaders, they are just managers. And every manager is not a leader, but every leader is a manager, right? So what is that meaning? The leadership is really important. There are certain leaders like dictators, we call autocratic leaders. Leaders like fathers, like called paternalistic leader, like a father, like a mother, that treating their subordinates like a children. Some leaders are there, laissez-faire leaders, like very kind of a lazy leaders, like, let it be, who cares, kind of a leader, laissez-faire leadership styles. Some leaders are there, very democratic leaders. They listen to everyone's thoughts and ideas before they take decisions. These are the four types of leaders: democratic leaders, paternalistic leaders, autocratic leaders, and laissez-faire leaders. So these leaders are very important. These are the engines of the business, right? So if you don't have good leadership skills, you should be able to smart enough to actually recruit some manager, CEO with the leadership skills, right? You can be entrepreneur, you can be the decision maker, and you can hire some person to run the business, because without a proper engine, powerful engine, you can't, it's difficult to actually run the business. Therefore, have been cases where senior manager and business leaders have bring down companies by the actions. Right? Look at the examples. For example, the Steve Jobs. You might know the entrepreneur Steve Jobs. He's a really good leader and CEO of Apple. Think about the Richard Branson. Sir Richard Branson, the Virgin Group. Right? Business magnate, marvelous leader. Right? There are so many leaders like that in the world. We can see Steve Jobs. right? Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, right? Great leadership, right? So now you can see that he actually convert the business like, metaverse. So basically, it's a really good business concept, right? It's a social media like a basically monopoly of social media, I can say. So this very good leaders are there. Leaders are the heart of the success of the business organizations. Therefore, if you don't have kind of a leadership qualities, this could be result poor decision making and also eventually fail. Eventually, business failure. Therefore, this is very important. If you was argue that one of the main reason why the UK business like a BHS collapse, right, in 2016 was the Dominic Chappell's poor leaderships. That's a very good example. One of the reasons why the BHF's collapse, Dominic Chappell is the CEO, the leaders poor leadership. Same thing to other business also, right? Same thing if you talk about certain business, Kodak failure, if you talk about the Thomas Cook, 178-old company, Thomas Cook failure, the reason behind is a poor leadership, poor management, right? There are certain cases I can tell you, right? There are certain reasons you can research about that. The leaders, poor leadership caused the business failure, right? So, and other one is a failure to innovate. In my next session, I'm going to actually talk about this case studies, the Kingfisher Airline, what's happened in the Kingfisher Airlines. It's an Indian airline company owned by the Suresh Malia. I guess he's the owner of the franchise of the Kings 11 Punjab for a long time. So like that, Kingfisher Airline collapsed as a result of some reasons. So will this case study we can do in my next session. So in today's lesson, what I actually discuss about the main 5 reasons why business fail because of why the lack of competitiveness. Talk about the threat of new entrants, how it caused a failure. We talk about the ineffective cost control, how it affected the business failure. We talk about the ineffective marketing management, how it affected the cost of business failure, and talk about the lack of skills and poor leaderships. These 5 reasons we talk about in my next session. So I'm going to furthermore I'm going to explain about this thing, recession situation, how will it impact the business failure, how we can manage the recession, right? How failure to innovate, how we can manage the failure of innovation, how we can do innovation, everything. So not only failure reasons, I'm going to give you some solutions also in my next session. So from that, I'm going to wind up our today's session. See you in my next session. Thank you very much. See you again. Bye. Thank you.